Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So I am continuing my grind through these tier 6 Carthaginian Cavalry. We've got them a little bit more upgraded now, so they play out a little bit differently. And I've just been continuing to have a few good games with them, and I thought I'd share sort of a bit of an example with you out of you of sort of how Hasdruble even compares as sort of a cavalry on cavalry commander. And why I quite like these guys, and why I find the why am I going to stats? Why I find Hasdruble's charge mechanic, flying column, tends to work pretty well. These guys have a pretty high base charge impact damage, 2 to 6 plus with the extra speed. It works at about 285, something like that, which is relatively high. Then with flying column, that gives it another plus 10%. So we're taking sort of around the low 300s at that point. And I find that it tends to work out, it tends to win most cavalry on cavalry engagements. Plus, by having that double charge ability with the extra charge you get with the cavalry themselves, as well as Hasdruble's flying column, it can sort of work out kind of well in cavalry fights, particularly when you're sort of facing off multiple cavalry at once. And I find it tends to end up beating a lot of equivalent cavalry commanders. So we're just going to have a quick look at a replay now, which I kind of think demonstrates quite well of why I like Hasdruble as a cavalry commander. So I shall see you in the battle. So you join me on the battle of the Teutoburg Forest. I think it's Teutoburg Forest. I think that's where we are. So anyway, we start off. Everyone, all the time on this map, if I get a chance, I try and just rush this initial cap point if I'm in the side of the map. It's pretty easy to get to. I have a little bit of a race with this guy unintentionally. But if you capture this flag point, often, although not in the case in this battle, you end up spotting 4, 5, 6, 7 enemy units from this point, because the vision on this tower extends a really long way. And as such, that often gives you a lot of initial spotting points. It's just a little bit unfortunate in this case that no one seemed to came this way. So I didn't get any spots, but it's normally a good way of just getting 600 points for really not doing a lot. And I find as a cavalry, it puts me in a nice position because I can move off to the right if I want to come down this slope here and engage down here. And I've also got this little run-off slip down here if I want to go and assist down in this valley below. So anyway, I just pan out, wait a little bit, see where the enemy are panning out. We've got these 3 units of light artillery here in the centre, which are kind of a problem for our team and do quite a lot of damage to our friendly heavy infantry in the centre. But they are supported by cavalry, and also there are another unit of war dogs around here as well, which is kind of tough for us to deal with. If I just tried to charge them, that wouldn't really pan out very well for me. So without really having any better idea what to do, I decided to push down in this valley down here, abandoning the spotting point, just to see if I can maybe consider pushing up here, seeing if there's anything around here. I could maybe get back round behind the back of the artillery down this slope here, if it seems to pan out. So I push down in this slope here. As I'm pushing up here, I kind of want to get into this forest so I can't be spotted, but then I can get spots out of anything that's coming. And I do notice these elite companions coming down this bit of slope here. And I'm kind of surprised they seem to be coming from me. I generally rule you don't really find Greek cavalry tends to want to get involved that much in cavalry fights, but they do. And we get the early charge, and we win the charge engagement. Now this is kind of what most people find surprising about these Carthaginian cavalry. Well, they don't always win this charge engagement, but if you get your charge activated in a good amount of time, to pick up your momentum nice and early, you'll get your increased charge impact damage, and you can win charges against even Greek cavalry. It's also slightly assisted by the fact that they were coming along this straight and had to make this slight turn here, so they couldn't activate the charge that early because they'd have just gone straight on into the trees. So that played out in our favour as well. But I mean, if we look at their charge impact, is only 293 compared to our base of 285, so they're so close together that it sort of really boils down to who charges first. So don't underestimate these Carthaginian cavalry. They have a similar charge ability to the Greeks. So anyway, so that pans out quite nicely. I was pretty pleased with that. I see how the fight's going, and then I start activating my bribes to start to reduce the combat efficiency of these Greek units, and that's the time they decide to pull out, which is probably for their best interest. But they don't really get very far. I think they tried to activate a charge here to try and escape up the thing, but because they were already in contact with my units, their charge didn't really work. So when they ended up routing, they ended up racking a lot of damage up against these guys. 7,000, 5,000, and they're pushing up a hill into more of our allied units. So I start to try and push up here. Now, at this point, we don't fare so well. We've suddenly got a lot of enemies panning in on us. We've got a unit of enemy Gungnir chargers here using infiltration. That's an Arminius commander. We've got another Arminius commander here with Gungnir chargers just not using infiltration, who's activated his charge and is imminently about to slam into our side. And we've got a few units of damage mounted warband. So we take the hit from the Gungnir charges. Thankfully it wasn't quite a full hit into our full force, but that hurts us quite a lot. But we also have some friendly Macedonian hoplites coming down the back, which is good because that provides us with support and drives off these Gungnir charges. For some reason, one of the retreating units of enemy elite companions sort of runs into us, which didn't really do them any favours and got themselves eliminated really quickly. The remaining Greeks tried to charge, but basically missed and just clipped 2 or 3 of our cavalry units, but did manage to get out. So I'm just sort of recovering from this situation. That was a pretty hectic 30 seconds with everything going on. So I'm just trying to pull out, trying to regroup my units, sort of seeing what's going on. I've got my units sort of all caught up in the forest. We've got some friendly Celeres here, some Roman heavy cavalry, who have engaged these Gungnir charges, which is a good move on their part. I'm surprised they're able to catch them because the Gungnir charges are so much quicker. But there's still this unit of completely free Gungnir charges over here. You know, these tier 6s were quite a threat. And we've also got these Greek cavalry. Yet again, I see them. I was coming around to flank behind these Gungnir charges, but our Celeres have always done it, and these Greeks are coming in to try and counter-charge them, what remains of them. But again, we get our charge nice and early, and we outwin the hammer. We took no damage while dealing 3,500 to them. Now, this is kind of an important bit. Having just engaged these Greeks, having just used my charge literally seconds before, we see these enemy Gungnir charges coming in. They're going to do a lot of damage just to win a charge, particularly as our units are almost all sort of ticking around 50% health. This could almost, if not completely wipe us out, take us all down to sort of below a usable strength for the unit. So I quickly disengage that remaining 1 or 2 Greeks because they're basically dead. Turn my units straight towards the Gungnir charges and smash in my other charge, the spare charge that I've got on the cavalry, because these guys have got 2 charges available to them. And guess what? We win that charge as well. We take a few casualties where people hit the rocks, but we overpower the Gungnir charges charge, and we actually end up beating them, which is great. I had a spare bribe on my 3rd unit, which I started to use against the Gungnir charges. And then we start to get our friendly war dogs charging into the back, and the Gungnir chargers know their time is up. So they try and make a break for it, and we start to cut them down. So I think that kind of my point of trying to show this clip was how those 2 charges could be utilised in that sort of situation. You know, you have access to them. If you're about to be charged, always counter-charge, because these guys will win most charges. You know, it's kind of what these guys seem to be largely about. They're almost like a Greek cavalry will be just with better combat ability and, you know, better armour. So they do pan out really well. So after this, I'm regrouping. I'm thinking about what I want to do. Do I want to push onto their base to try and get the capture? Well, we are being capped, and if we look at the mini-map, we've got quite a few enemies starting to push up here. Lots more enemies down here pushing up, being supported by artillery. So I fear we could end up getting capped out at our base. So I kind of want to get back to help that. So I sort of turn around and start to head back. The obvious route would be across here, across the centre and up there, but obviously we've got the enemy light artillery here, and they'll be quite ruthlessly effective, particularly as my units are now sort of all around the 30-40% mark. So I decided to take a slightly longer route and come around this way. We activate a quick of our charge to give it a bit more speed, travel speed. It recharges really quickly, it's only like a 13-second cooldown, so that's kind of handy. So as moving up here, not a very exciting bit, this is just a travel moment in my game. So as I'm coming up here, we obviously get the observation platform, see if there's anything else threatening us, which is not. Here I've sort of got 2 choices. Do I come back to base or try and go for the enemy light artillery? I'd really like to kill this guy a lot, because light artillery are a real scourge for me at the moment. Our base capture is threateningly high, and there's a lot of enemy units in the base, so really I feel I have to get back to try and get into the base. So obviously, what have we got here? This is what I'm trying to assess very quickly what I've got threatening me. And this is probably where my playstyle tends to fall down, is trying to make those snap quick decisions about what I'm going to target. I've not got that long because there's a lot of enemy units in base and I want to be contributing to the decapping effort. Obviously we've got these pikes here in a pike phalanx. If I charge them, that would be instant death. So we need to avoid them. I've got these Romans here in testudo, so they are getting a charge deflect negative modifier. Or at least a combat modifier, if not a charge, no, just a combat melee defense modifier. So they'll be good to charge, but they are Principes, they are a lot stronger than me, and there is this gap here, which is what I try and exploit. The Principes do realise and kind of catch me, so I activate charge, which gets one of our units through, and does a little bit of damage to the Principes as well. And we're sort of able to push through. I follow this unit round and get them with their spare charge. Again, I'm using the 2 charges. You see, I've used both of my charges now because the Hasdruble's commander charge hasn't yet finished its cooldown cycle. So by making use of that 2nd charge, I'm able to contribute to the damage a lot more. And we take quite a lot of health off these archers by doing that. So I'm able to get a bit more damage on these Principes, but I'm largely trying to get out of the fight with these guys and focus on the archers. It's sort of all a bit chaos. I somehow get a bit mixed up in these pikemen, but they're facing the wrong way, so they don't do too much damage to us. We lose a unit, but I'm able to get the other unit out. And the Romans back off, so I turn around, look at the archers again, and get another charge in. Oof, another good charge. Really starting to decimate the health of these archers now. So we've got our 2 units now pretty much entirely focused on these enemy archers. So we keep focusing on them. The Romans are engaged over here, and the pikemen are, I don't know what they're trying to do, wandering around in phalanx formation. So we've managed to keep the base capped to right down for this entire time, even though they've had quite a lot of capping units in our base. And we start to rout most of these enemy archers. We're just trying to kill them off with what units we have remaining. And you know, we're already up to nearly 3,000 aggression damage from the amount of damage we've done so far this game. But the main thing is we were able to keep our base captured down while the enemy was capping. Well, our team was capping, sorry. And that enabled us to cap the enemy base while we kept the enemy from capturing ours. And we were able to win the battle. So yeah, so hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of Hasdruble's 2 charges and why I kind of like them. I certainly, perhaps initially, Hasdruble might not seem like the strongest commander. You know, his flying column is good. The cavalry he has available to him are also very good, and I think he's a good sort of commander all in all. Seems to work quite well around. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Something perhaps slightly different, or at least a slightly different take on, rather than just sort of a unit review, or perhaps a bit of a half a commander review as well, looking at Hasdruble's double charge. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the video out ranking-wise. Plus, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you like Hasdruble, or are you prefer some of the other Roman commanders, barbarian commanders, etc.? So, thanks for watching, and I shall see you all on the next video.